Alright guys, I know it's about that time again. Today we're making a brand new tier list ranking every meta unit in Anime Last Stand as of the Black Clover Quality of Life update. Hopefully you enjoy the video, find it helpful. If you do, maybe leave a like or subscribe. But anyways, let's get into it. So for today's tier list, we're going to be using the same rankings as always. We have Meta Overall, Meta Infinite, Meta Early, Support, Decent, and Farms. I went ahead and got the farms out of the way. Idle is the most cost efficient and has a buffing ability. The Ocean is good for short wave content, and Robin is good for high wave content. Moving on to the actual units here, first up we have Noelle. This is the new Divine boosted form. I'd say she's mostly going to be a support for buffing water units. She has a lot of different passives and stats effects for buffing water type damage. Her personal damage is good and she's pretty cheap, but I think she's mostly going to be a support. Next up we have Yuno, and some people are probably going to be mad about this, but personally, I think this guy is the worst unit of the new update. He doesn't have any supporting value, he's just kind of a damage unit. His personal damage is okay. He does have a weird passive, kind of like Asta, where he has a magic bar, and when that bar fills up he does gain kind of like a Dust Storm passive from Cosmic Garo. So he can do full AoE damage and a pretty good amount of damage, especially with his like super crit thing. But just because he's a DPS unit and we got a lot of like higher DPS options this update and the past couple updates, I'd say he's going in decent tier. The new evolution of Time King, I actually have a lot to say about this guy. So I'd put him in meta overall, probably the lower side of meta overall, because I do think he's really good, but he does have some problems which we'll talk about. First off, his personal DPS is actually really good. I think he has high damage. He is only a circle AoE though. And he does actually have good supporting value from his passives. He has a couple passives that can be good slowdown if you have low SPA on him. But I do think he has a couple of huge problems. The first one is going to be his 7.5 trillion nuke. I really do think that ability does not have much value. Because if you think about how many game modes we actually need a strong nuke, it is nowhere ever going to be 7.5 trillion. Even in like leaderboard runs, you're going to use percent-based stuff. You never at any point would need 7.5 trillion, especially with the time it takes to ramp up. Another flaw with this guy is going to be how many of his upgrades are going to be ground only. So on placement he's ground, and he takes until like upgrade 8 to get hybrid. He has a couple of issues for sure, but I do think overall this guy is very strong. Next up we have Bone Demon. I'm not sure how many of you have him because he is a legend stage drop, a pretty rare one. But I'd say he's meta early. He's a 1k placement hill unit with really good DPS on placement. He's a line AoE with cripple and bleed on placement as well, so surprisingly high DPS, but he is only a neutral element is the one downside. Like, you can't really use him for an elemental advantage, so you're missing out on up to 3 times the damage on him. But he does have a passive where if he attacks something with cripple or bleed, which he applies both of when he attacks, he's going to apply hemorrhage or pressure to them. So he's pretty good for being a placement unit with good DPS and potentially a bunch of different stats effects if you have his SPA low enough. Okay, now we're moving on to the heavy hitters of the new update. So Conrad, I'm going to have a lot to talk about here. This guy has really high DPS on pretty much every upgrade. He has access to a bunch of different utility. On placement he has a weird version of the random passive, where he's going to apply on every hit either a better version of Fear and Pressure, Bolt, Blizzard, or Sunburn. Very, very strong support there. He also has an ability that can change his element, so initially he's going to be Light Element, but with a permanent cooldown ability he can change into any element in the game, but a weaker version of it. He has another ability, which is going to steal a status effect from anyone on your team that they get on max upgrade, so a good example of this is like Fire version of Shinra. To my knowledge, he is the only unit in the game with the Scorch effect, but with Conrad, you can actually steal that and put it on Conrad as well. So very good potential there, especially with future updates. And he has one more ability, which is going to be a 50 billion damage nuke with a 250 second global cooldown that is going to ramp up in damage, multiply the amount of times he has used it. So if you were to use this like 10 times, his nuke is going to start doing 500 bill instead of just 50 bill. Very, very good unit overall. Definitely going high in meta overall, and we might see him even get higher depending on the units we get in the future, because he can take their stats effects. The new evolution of Asta. This guy is very strong. He's similar to Yuno. He has like a rage bar above his upgrade UI, and is going to ramp up every attack, increasing his damage. And if you max it out, I believe he has maybe even the highest DPS in the game. I'm not sure. You might need to fact check that. His DPS gets really crazy high. And on top of that, on final upgrade, he has an ability where he can gain 2 stats effects at random. So kind of RNG. But if you were to roll like Blizzard or something, something good for stall. He has also infinite viability there because he can be a good support while doing really good DPS too. He has a cone AoE, which is not the worst. Overall, it's a very strong unit. Definitely going meta overall and pretty high in it, just because he has really good damage. Before I forget, we also got a few balance changes this update, so I'm going to rank those guys now. Jinmori got a buff to his final upgrade. It is a huge change to his DPS. He's a lot stronger. I'd put him in meta overall, he already was. Goku got a complete rework. It was a huge buff to his personal damage, but also kind of a nerf to his supporting value. I'd say he is definitely meta overall, but probably like right about here. And Madoka also got a nerf. They made her final upgrade a lot more expensive. It costs 1 mil now, which is actually a pretty big nerf because most of her value comes from an ability she gets on final upgrade. Otherwise though, she is really good still, and I'd put her probably meta overall and right about here. Army Bulma has a strong buffing passive with low uptime. She can also call in a cash drop with 30k cash every so often. Pretty good support. Akame is a meta early unit, very cheap with pretty good mutilate damage. She's okay. As Death is full AoE with really good blizzard damage and a support passive that can buff units in her range. Probably right above Julius in meta overall. Buchi, just a decent DPS unit, not much to say there. Fire version of Shinra is a good fire DPS and can buff other fire teammates, so really good on the right team. I'd put him probably right here. And maybe below Madoka. Water Shinra, actually really good. Good blizzard damage, full AoE. Good passive for buffing water units, especially with how many are in the meta now. So, very good unit and probably right about here. Nature Shinra, meta for infinite. He has full AoE, chance to one-shot stuff every attack, or every 5 attacks maybe, something like that. Really good. Dark version of Shinra is a support. He is mostly going to have his value coming from his despair from his ability, I think, which is actually a good buffing passive. Light version of Shinra is just a good light DPS with Bolt. I'd probably put it like under Conrad. Neutral Shinra is a rewind and ability resetter, meta infinite unit. Boosted Zamasu has infinite damage potential. He is going to gain damage every wave. It is the same thing as Gon, and they're both kind of mid, but good for infinites maybe. Sora Shiro is going to be a pretty okay raw damage unit with the random passive. I'll put him in decent. Knife Shiro is a decent DPS with high boss killing potential. Berserk Shiro is another okay DPS, but he can block the base for I think like 30 seconds or something. Kirito. So this guy, I know people are mad about not being in meta. Don't get me wrong, Kirito is good. I don't think he's bad. It's just there are better options for meta early, better options for meta infinite, because he's not very like infinite meta. He doesn't have infinite options. His damage can be good for progressive, maybe like meta early with the bottom of it, but for now I'll just put him kind of top of decent, right under, you know, maybe. Unohana is a bleed buffer, pretty niche but can be good. Same for Leafa, niche but can be good. She's an SPA buffer or reducer, and then a nature element buffer. Wongling is a very good meta overall unit for sure. His personal DPS is good. He has a lot of infinite potential with rewind abilities and resetting cooldown abilities. Very good. Isagi, this guy's damage is kind of getting power crept already. Like, you wouldn't really want to use him for his own personal performance, but he is a good buffer still with his passive and his ability. I'd say probably a support, and I'd put him right about here for now. Anos is a meta infinite unit for sure. Not too great though. He can do a lot. You just have to wait for his ability to ramp up. You have to use it a bunch. So it's kind of like a one-time very strong nuke. One person would probably want to bring him on a leaderboard run. Otherwise, he's just okay, and right about here. Yabimaru, not much to talk about. He's just a decent burn DPS unit. Indecent there. Ragna, decent unit that does more to frozen enemies than flying enemies. He can be pretty cheap, but ground on placement. Put him probably right about here. Joker is a niche unit. He does okay damage, he has a nuke ability, and has access to every form of burn. Kind of a cool gimmick, but not too strong. Darksaber can be meta infinite. She has a spammable nuke that got buffed to do, I think like 750 bill or something. Very good. Arthur definitely meta overall. Full AoE with plasma, very good DPS. Option to a meta infinite nuke. He has like a 3 insta-killing nuke. And overall very good performance, damage buffing with plasma and just buffing, and his own damage. Pretty good, and I'd put him probably right about here. Chihiro. This guy in my opinion is meta overall. He has perfect seal and good DPS, so he's good for progressive. And because he has access to a bunch of different debuffs, I'd say he's not that bad for infinites either. Very good unit. He does have a flaw of being ground only, but one of his passives can damage flying enemies. Boros is just a decent plasma damage unit. He's okay. Benimaru, I think I actually kind of underestimated him in my last tier list videos, okay? He's actually really good as a fire meta early unit option. He has perfect SPI on Black Flame, just raw DPS, very good on placement, and very cheap. Death the Kid is also a meta early unit, very cheap, very good at crit damage build. Very good with the right build and team. Ibana is just a burn DPS unit, a decent one, probably right above Gabimaru. Quincy King, very good support, full AoE, better version of Fear, has a nuking ability and a damage and range buff, very good. Nagi is a meta early unit, he is a light element and does extra damage the first time he hits something, pretty good for early waves. Escanor's, in my opinion, like, maybe one of the worst godlies. He's good for fire teams, he can buff fire units by a lot. Meta overall for sure, because he is still a godly with good DPS and good buffing, but pretty underwhelming in my opinion, honestly, nowadays. Baldi Motive Garo, also pretty underwhelming. Meta Infinite maybe, but the normal Baldi is just better, so put him probably right here. Ichigo, another very underwhelming godly. This is probably the worst godly in the game, honestly, but he is actually pretty okay for early damage. His early DPS is pretty good. Probably put him like right here. Itachi, Divine Boosted. This guy actually would be good, I think, but his passive where he's supposed to have perfect SPA and Black Flame is, I think, bugged still, where it does not have perfect SPA and he can't chain Black Flame at all. So his DPS output is pretty low. Might be better in the future if they ever fix his bug, though. Kaiser just has raw damage. I would put him like indecent and right about here. And all the other blue lock units who won't be on this list are probably like right next to him, maybe right below him. Like Barrow and Rin and all those guys. I just thought kind of redundant because they're all blue lock and all do the same, kind of just raw damage. Dio, very good support in my opinion, probably top in meta support. Very good SPA reduction and time stops and summoning passive, or ability, very good overall. Buff Mode Kurumi, also a good support. Very strong crit chance and damage buff there, with a 90-second time stop as well. Cosmic Garo, I know this is kind of controversial, people kind of disagree with me a lot on this one, but I do think Cosmic Garo is still the best unit in meta overall. He just has a very good godly lead. If you don't bring him on your team, you're missing out on a lot of damage buffing. With the always increasing damage meta, he can just take from other stronger units and then become strong himself. And he does also have a very strong nuke that can one-shot any strongest enemy on the map, so overall good for everything. Kurumi is support mode, very similar to Nature Shinra, full AoE with a chance to one-shot stuff every 5 attacks. Meta infinite for sure. Gear 5 Luffy, okay DPS, good godly lead, good supports for stalling, especially with being one of the only units with access to the random passive from an ability. Pretty good. Tigre is just a decent full AoE bleed unit, probably put him like right here. Sukuna, meta infinite for sure. Just kind of a nuker. I don't think he's that good for progressive because he has pretty expensive upgrade costs, but he is very good for his percent-based nuke in infinite runs. Pretty good. Put him right here. DPS Kurumi, in my opinion, kind of falling off, but bottom of meta overall still usable for everything. Good DPS, good time stop ability for infinites, pretty okay. Say Prodigy, just a meta early unit with perfect seal, and I think he has a couple ways of buffing teammates, but he's alright. Azumaki, meta early unit for nature with a good slow passive, pretty good. Sun Jinwoo, okay, he's still really good. He has good DPS and a pretty strong summoning passive, and also the Dragon's Roar thing. But I think he's kind of falling off compared to like other new modern DPS units that are Dark Element as well. So, I don't know, in my opinion, still meta overall, still high in it, but kinda declining. Ryuk, meta infinite for sure. Chance to one-shot stuff every attack. Monster Garo, perfect seal, okay DPS, decent unit. Genos, in my opinion, he was kind of meta early for fire, but there are better options now. I say just kind of decent and probably right about here. Yoruichi, probably right about here in decent. She's okay for bolt DPS, but there are better options. Baldi is a meta infinite unit for sure. I believe he has a 30% HP auto execute, which is pretty good. Albedo is a damage buffer. She has a damage buff and a range nerf, is kind of how the ability works, or passive works. So, okay support, but not too great. Kabuki, decent unit, good early damage, and has Blizzard final upgrade, and buffs other slowdown passive by 5%. Pretty okay. Subaru, damage buffer, and elemental pen buffer. Pretty good. Right about here maybe. Zoro, just a nature DPS unit, he's okay. I'll put him right here. Roger, full AoE conquered with a nuke. He's alright. Kaido. He can be kind of considered a support for his passive that is like a stun for everything in his range. If he was considered a support, maybe like right here or here, somewhere around there, I don't know. But kind of decent. I think he's still pretty good for his own DPS and abilities, so put him right here. Usopp, boss killer DPS unit, guaranteed crit. Okay, here. Aizen, meta overall, very good damage buffer, and his personal damage is also really good, so put him high in meta overall. Very, very good unit for sure. His damage buff is huge. Sanji, just a fully blue flame unit, he's okay. His damage is not that bad. Gohan, decent unit. He is immune to stun, so helpful in the Fire Force dungeon, but overall, just okay DPS. Gogeta, meta infinite unit for sure. He has a strong boss damaging nuke. I think it does like 60% of their HP. Put him like right here. Iremi is a meta early unit. He is a light element. He has the random passive. Pretty okay placement damage. Erwin, just a damage buffer. Very strong damage buffer. Giornosh has a rewind. His personal DPS is not very good anymore. Right about here. Oh, here. Gus is going in decent. Flayoe, good damage kind of, and has the only passive in the game that can stun units in his range. Toto, just a rewind support, not too great. Same thing for Law. Pretty much the same unit. Goku Black, meta early unit for sure. Very good. He has not the highest like damage number, but he does have a lot of passives that increase his damage with clones and damage debuffs, so very good. Gojo, insane unit, very good support, very good DPS, very good for everything. I would kind of put him, usually I'd put him below Sun Jin-woo, because Sun Jin-woo's damage is just really good for progressive, but we have like other dark options now coming into the meta like Asta, so I'd honestly say Gojo's better because he has more supporting value. Ainz is okay, he has a pretty strong nuke, summoning passive, fully AoE, good damage, put him right here in decent. Gray is a meta early unit, fully AoE and freeze and hybrid on placement with good DPS. Madara, meta infinite unit for sure, he has a rewind, even though it's not too good anymore, still usable. Antares, burn buffing support kind of, very niche but can be okay. Naruto, damage and range buff, kind of outdated but still pretty alright. Zamasu, the unboosted form, actually in my opinion better than the boosted form because it has a percent based damage nuke to bosses and pretty okay full AoE DPS for infinite runs, so put him right about here. Gilgamesh, also a infinite meta unit for nuking, he has I think a 30% HP auto execute, something like that, so put him right here. Rimuru, in my opinion meta overall, cheap, good damage on pretty much all upgrades. Final upgrade has a decent nuke, and then full AoE with weakened, which weakened is pretty rare to come by, so full AoE with it is good. Put him probably right here in meta maybe. And then finally we have Poochie. Poochie is just a support unit, full AoE with pressure. He has an ability that can reset abilities and rewind, so pretty okay. And with that, I think we're done. Here is the final tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Of course, please do be respectful about it because this is just my opinion. Take everything with a grain of salt. But I think it looks pretty good. Thank you to my channel members for making this video possible. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you in the next one. And have a great day.